Hi everyone, in this lesson I'll show you how to use the Pygame library with the Tkinter library to create full music player using Python programming language. Let me show you that in action. First of all, we used the import statement to import our tools here. First of all, from the Tkinter library we imported asterisk. Our first statement here is from Tkinter import asterisk, and that statement is used to import every exposed object in the Tkinter library into your current namespace. That's it simply, and after that you can see from Tkinter import file dialog. So what is the meaning of that statement? Tkinter file dialog comes in several types. Simply you can use this statement to open a single file, a directory, save as file, and much more. And for loading, playing, and stopping music, we imported a module called Mixer from the Pygame library. From Pygame, import Mixer. And make sure to install the Pygame library first using the pip package. And after that, use that statement from Pygame, import Mixer module. That's it. Now let's create a class as a main template for that player. To declare a class in Python programming language or to declare main template using object-oriented concepts, we use the class statement or the class keyword. So in that case we used it followed by the name of that class for our player, which is called the player in that case, as you can see, and follow the rules for naming classes or variables in Python programming language and set a meaningful name for any class you create. The class keyword followed by the name of that class, which is player, and at the end of that header try to put a colon, and that colon, after that colon you can hit enter or return to start the indented body of that class by forward spaces automatically. The class body here is indented using forward spaces automatically after hitting enter or return after the colon at the end of the class header. Now let's design our init function, the main constructor inside that class. You can see we designed the init function using the def keyword. We declared it first inside the body of the player class and the self parameter to access the attributes or the instance attributes from that class once you create objects based on that class. And it has a parameter. This function or this method has a parameter in addition to self, which is called in that case window, as you can see, to create a window for our player. And the geometry function, you can see the geometry function for window for dimensions, and these dimensions, as you can see, or the dimension for that window is 320 multiplied by 100. After that, we set a title. We inserted a title for that window, which is Python Tiny Player. This is the title for our window, for the player window, for the music player window that we want to create. And resizable 00 to make it not resizable, to make that window not resizable. And after that, you can see we used the button widget from the Tkinter library, and this widget or this function is used to add buttons in Python programming language and to create buttons for loading, for playing, for pausing and stopping inside the music player window. We used that button function here. The first one inside the music player window is the load button to load a music file, and we placed or we assigned this button, the button function, as a value for the load variable. As you can see, the first argument is window, the second argument text is equal to load. This is the text that you will see in that button called load, and after that you will see another argument. The width is equal to 10. Font, the font family is times, as you can see, and the font size is equal to 10. The last argument inside the button function for the load button here is the command function or the command method, and this method is used when the button is clicked. So by clicking this button, by using this button called load, you can load an audio file simply or a music file. That's it simply. Command is equal to self.load. This is so important. Let's talk about another one, which is the play button. We created another variable and we assigned the button function or the button widget to that variable also, as you can see simply. The first argument is window, the second argument is text is equal to play. In that case, the width is equal to 10, the font family is equal to times, font size is equal to 10, and the last argument, as you can see, the command method. The value for that command method is equal to self.play. Self to access the instance attributes simply from inside that class after creating objects based on that class called the player. The value for command in that case, self.play, to play the audio file, to play the loaded audio file once you hit the play button. That's it simply. This is the using of command is equal to self.play in that case for the play button. And after that, you will see for the pause button, we used the button widget again, as you can see, the button widget, and the first argument window, the second argument text is equal to pause. This is the text inside that button. Width is equal to 10. Font, the font family is times. The font size is equal to 10. Command is equal to self.pause. To pause the loaded or to pause the played audio file once you hit this button simply. This is the using of that command or the command function or the command method in that case simply. And the last button is for stop, and this button is called stop, and we used the button widget or the button method from the Tkinter library. Again, as you can see, the first argument is our window here. The second argument is text, and the value for the second argument is stop. This, you will see this text for that button, and width is equal to 10 simply, as you can see. Font, the font family is times, and the font size is equal to 10. The command function at the end, the command function is the last argument here for the stop button, and its value is self.stop, to stop the played file, to stop the played music file. After that, the place function from the Tkinter library to insert the position for load, for the load button, for the play button, for the pause button, and finally for the stop button. Load.place is equal to, or the parameters, the arguments for the place for load.place, x is equal to 0, y is equal to 20. Play.place for the play button, the first argument x is equal to 110. The second argument for y is equal to 20. Pause, for the pause button, we inserted pause.place to set the position for that button inside our window, inside the window of the music player. X is equal to 220, and y, the value of y is equal to 20, as you can see inside the parentheses of the pause.place function. The last one for the stop button, stop.place, we call that function, and look inside the parentheses of that function, the value of x for the position of x is equal to 110, y is equal to 60, simply as you can see. That's it. After implementing the buttons for our application inside the window for the music player application we want to create, make sure to insert an instance attribute called self.music_file. This instance attribute is called music_file, and you can name it any name you wish, is equal to false in that case. The self parameter is used to access these instance attributes once you create objects based on that class called the player. Self.playing_state is equal to false also for the playing state. For our application, now we need to insert another method to that class called the player we just made here to load music file or to load an audio file from our computer or from our local device. Exactly as follows. You can see we designed that method, or we declared that method called load. With the self parameter, don't forget to insert the self parameter inside the parentheses of that method. By using the def keyword, we declared that method called load. After that, you can see inside the body of that load method here, self.music_file, in that case is equal to file dialog.ask open file name. From the file dialog module we imported, or we called a method called ask open file name, and this function or this method is used to return a file name that you selected. This open function, this ask open file name function, also supports other useful options, including the initial directory displayed by the dialog, or filtering files by their extensions. So that function is used to show you the file name that you selected. It will give you the file name you selected using the Tkinter library with the file dialog module. That's it simply. Now, after creating that function called load, simply we need to create a method or a function to play our music file or our audio file. Let's do that. Let's create a function called play with the self parameter also inside the parentheses of that function to play our audio file or to play our music file simply. You can see here inside the player class we inserted another method. We declared another method using the def keyword for playing an audio file or for playing our music file, and we inserted a conditional if statement inside the body of that function or that method. If self.music_file, if the condition or the test expression for the conditional if statement is true, in that case we initialize the mixer to load and play our music file using the load function, music.load function for self.music_file, and also music.play to start playing our audio file or our music file using that method from the mixer module from the Pygame library. That's it simply as you can see. After all of that, you need to pause and unpause and also to stop the music file or the audio file here. So we need to insert two methods, a method for pause and a method for stop. The method for pause will be for pause and unpause, and I'll use the conditional if statement to do that inside this method. And after that we are gonna insert another method for stop to stop the audio file using the Pygame library, using the mixer module from the Pygame library, and we are gonna use inside the stop method mixer.music.stop function to stop the played audio file or the played music file. You can see in that case we inserted that method inside the player class for pausing the audio file or for pausing the music file. And you can see the conditional if statement inside the body of that method here. If not self.playing underscore state, if the condition of the conditional if statement in that case is like true, not self.playing underscore state is equal to true in that case, because the value of self.playing underscore state is false in that case. So not false is equal to true. If true, then we used the mixer module, and we used that function music.pause to pause the audio file or to pause the playback music file using that method from the mixer module from the Pygame library simply. And after that you can see we used a variable, or we used an instance attribute or attribute inside that function or that method, and that attribute is called playing underscore state, or playing state is equal to true in that case because the condition is true. If true, mixer.music.pause, then self.playing, the self parameter, don't forget the self parameter, followed by the dot notation, followed by the name of the attribute, and the value in that case is true. And if the condition of the conditional if statement is false, the program will execute the else statement automatically, and you know that. And the program will execute the else block, which is unpausing the audio file using mixer.music.unpause method from the mixer module from the Pygame library also. And in that case, the playing state is equal to false, not true. And you can see also the last method is the stop method, the def keyword to define it, and for stop the audio file or for stopping the music file we use that method mixer.music.stop. Call it only, and don't forget to place an empty braces at the end of that method here. Finally, you need to call the tick function from the tickenter library to create a window and insert that widgets inside that window simply. And after that you can create also an object based on that class called the player. And the last thing that we're gonna do is using the main loop function, and that function is used to prevent the displayed window from exiting immediately. As you can see, we created a window using the tk function. We called it and we assigned it to new underscore root, and after that we created an object and we created an instance from the player class, and this is called the player app, as you can see. And we inserted new root inside the parentheses to insert our window, to insert all the widgets from inside the player class to that window, inside that window, by using the tk function. And finally, you can take a look at the last statement, which is calling the main loop function, and that function is used to prevent the displayable window from exiting immediately here for that application for displaying the music or the audio file simply. Now it's time to run our program, to execute that program by using shift enter or shift return, or by using the run button to show our program, to show the window, or to show the full player, the full audio player. Simply you can load a file, you can play a file, and you can pause and stop a file by using that player. Let's run it. After executing this program, once you hit the run button, you will see this program. You can load a file from the current working directory and you can listen to it once you hit play, and you can pause it by hitting the pause button, and you can stop it using the stop button also simply. That's all for this lesson. As you can see, very simple and very easy, and you can do this by yourself. You can see the title for that window, Python Tiny Player, and we inserted all the buttons inside the window, as you can see. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson.